All right, this summer's extreme heat is impacting our health, our homes, and some of our lakes and streams. In tonight's Hooked on East Texas, we look at how warmer summers are a threat to our lakes.
It's a big issue for us just because of the nature of the lake. You know, it has a lot of historical value for the park itself.
You can't miss it. An algae bloom covers half the 7-acre lake at Jones Park in Lufkin. Parks and Recreation Director Rudy Flores showed us this growing problem.
In April of this year, we started to see some signs of the algae growing back in this back cove here.
So far, it's been a 2-year battle with the bloom. The city tried several ways to get rid of it, installing aerators and a fountain to put more oxygen into the lake, but the algae clogged the pumps. The city hired a company that removed the algae, but it grew back. How frustrating is this?
You know, I think it's one of those projects where we wish that we were a little bit more in tune with aquatics, where we could go in there physically and just remove it and be done.
Algae blooms happen naturally and most are harmless, but the right combination of ingredients can create big problems. Supercharged water cycles, a symptom of climate change. Last year, heavy rain here in Angelina County, washing agricultural nutrients into water bodies. Those nutrients find their way into lakes like Jones Lake. Then the next year, a drought, hot sunshine, dry weather fuels algae growth. Algae blocks sunlight from reaching the lake's bottom. That chokes out the oxygen fish, wildlife, and plants need to survive. More blooms are occurring globally. Why? We asked UT Tyler Assistant Biology Professor Ryan Sharto. He says climate change.
I think it's definitely playing a big role. As the temperatures increase, that promotes algal bloom formation.
What role do you think climate change plays in the growth of this algae?
Our research so far has told us that the algae bloom really does produce with extreme heat, so I do believe that it's added to it.
Research by Climate Central, a nonprofit group of scientists and journalists, shows East Texas experiences almost 24 more warmer than average summer days than 50 years ago. Sharto says climate change will create more algae blooms in the future, and some could be toxic.
So you have the blue-green algae or cyanobacteria, and they produce basically hepatotoxins, which can actually poison the fish. You can also have reductions in oxygen levels, so the algae not only photosynthesize, so consume CO2, but they also consume oxygen at night. So they basically deplete the levels of oxygen in these water bodies, which leaves less oxygen for fish.
There's lots of different factors that are in it.
Back in Lufkin, Parks boss Flores tells us the city is working with Stephen F. Austin State University and the Angelina and Neches River Authority. Both are testing the water for the species and source of the algae. Flores tells us the algae isn't toxic blue-green algae, but left unchecked, it could still take over the lake.
We have seen through our research that if it's left untreated, it's very possible it's called a turnover of a lake or a pond, and so it becomes to where it does suffocate the oxygen out of the pond itself.
The city is confident that won't happen here. Cooler weather this winter, water testing, and expert advice all go into getting rid of the bloom.
We're confident, and we're leaning strongly on those experts because it's been done in other cities. We've seen it in other parks and recreation departments where they've been successful, and so we hope that we're going to be a part of that team that's successful with removing all the algae, but keeping it into a natural and safe way.
And the city tells us they expect results of the water tests later this summer. We'll be sure to follow up on the story later this year to see how the battle of the algae bloom is going.